So this week I decided to watch Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Well, you know me that I'm not exactly kind of like the biggest fan of the DC cinematic universe, mostly because of the the behind the scenes things. I am not a fan of the Zack Snyder stuff, but I will let you refresh your memory by saying that I did enjoy the first Shazam movie, and I thought that was actually one of the better movies that the DC Cinematic Universe had got. Although I wasn't exactly, how can I say, a little too hopeful for the sequel, and by different, by certain different factor, because I thought that they're gonna ham up a little bit on the humor on the compared to the original, and also this is a movie that is basically doing its kind of bracing itself for the inevitable when James Gunn takes over the DC cinematic universe, and of course that this will end up with, of course, the Flash. Gosh, I am not exactly looking forward to the Flash. I don't care how nostalgic and how awesome it is to bring Michael Keaton as Batman. It's still it's still you're still gonna you're still keeping this asshole Ezra Miller on the spot and being the Flash. My God, he was the worst part of the Justice League, and I don't know why they still want to keep him. He isn't even a good actor. Please, there should be a way to get rid of him, especially considering the things that he's doing behind the scenes. Okay, that was a little bit of my rant that I just wanted to explode out of it. But still, I am actually kind of a little bit worried considering that this movie, before I went to see it, I did saw the news that it's not doing very well at the box office, and I wonder what is that. Maybe it's because it wasn't advertised as much as, well, Black Adam did, because advertisement certainly kind of helps, help promote the movie. That's technically a logical thing that happens. When you have good publicity, then there's a big chance that you're gonna get a lot of views, no matter if people are gonna like it or not. As for I steer clear away from some of the reviews to give myself my own opinion after I watch it. Sorry about that. And I did, and I just came out okay. I can't say that this Shazam sequel is better than the first one, but this one I thought it was okay. But of course, it has some problems that it might take out a little bit on the movie. So I want to try to keep this a little bit short because I'm not exactly very good on reviewing superhero movies, except when there are well, they are one of a kind or something like that, or they're kind of like one shot. But basically, of course, this one takes place, after the first Shazam movie, and then we got kind of like the nearest threat is these these demigoddess or god sisters. I don't know, but they're basically the daughters of Atlas, who they steal the remnant from the last villain, which is technically the broken scepter from the last movie. And they do this because they want to have their revenge against humanity, because they've been how can I say, it's kind of a little bit complicated. God thinks that they were trapped into a god world until the scepter was broken, and then they just got free, and now they want to exact revenge against humanity for taking over the world of the gods and everything. I don't know if I'm correct with this one. This is basically my own assumption. But basically then, of course, we got the only one who can help that is, of course, Baxton. What was it, Baxton or Baxton? Let me see a little bit here. Batson, yeah, Batson, Billy Batson, aka Shazam, who he's also with the Shazam family. You know, his adoptive brothers and sisters from the orphanage, and who they also have, you know, the powers. And while they do their superhero things, they're kind of not seen in the limelight. They're just seen, like, for example, they just don't. They're not exactly hero material, something like that. And basically, when they find out that there's this big threat, now they have to do what they have to do. The problem is that the scepter also has the power to take to take out their powers or something like that. This is basically the nutshell I could try on the what do you expect from this movie. And I thought it was okay. Let's go a little bit with the acting, in which normally you're gonna get a lot of good acting. There is a kind of like how can I say? You can tell that that it's gonna be a little bit hard to, you know, balance your actors, that they're aging and continuing on, how can I say, with the theme that Shazam is, because Shazam is basically just a kid who has superpowers, and he turns into this adult version. And what was the name of the actors? Asher Angel. He does. There are times that he does act like a 17-year-old kid, and it kind of tries to bring it in contrast with, you know, Zachary Levi being the Shazam character, the adult version. And sometimes it kind of becomes a little bit awkward. This is kind of a little bit that I had a bit problematic in the last movie, but still, I get it. I get that they were trying to make kind of like a man, basically a man-child, a child in the body of an adult. But I don't think that it kind of works well if you're making a 17-year-old going for a grown-up, because both of them, they're now technically young adults, let's say. So I think that it could have worked a little bit better if he was still, you know, 14-year-old at least. But of course, you know that this is a kind of like a hard task, because let's face it, we age. Sorry for the ambulance. Once again, I had to reiterate that I live near a hospital. So, okay, just a little bit more, and it'll be quiet down for a moment. Well, there, now it got quiet. Speaking of quiet, I gotta say that I didn't have exactly kind of like the best experience in the movies, because I was sitting next to a child and his father, and this father, he was trying to, you know, to explain the movie to the child, because the child was a little bit too talkative during the movie, and I was like, gosh, shut up. But the father was very kind of for the lack of better terms, he was a little bit hippie. They're saying that, oh, you must not understand, and I will keep him quiet or something like that. You know, at this point, I was thinking that if that you should educate your children when you go to the movies, that if they keep talking during the movie, you should let them out of the movie, let them out, and saying that if you don't stop talking from the movie, you must. I'll remove you from the movie scene, and you're not gonna see the ending. That, I think, could be a suitable punishment for children who are very talkative during the movie theaters. Okay, so let's continue on with Shazam. I was talking about kind of like the acting, which indeed Zachary Levi and Asher Angel, they both are charming because they're playing out their characters. But can you believe that this movie almost not feel like a Shazam movie? Because some of the most important part of the plot is from Billy's best friend. The crippled boy, played by Jack Dylan Grazer. It Because he's the one that has a little bit kind of like an arc. He has an arc in which he falls in love with a girl, and without and let's say that this girl. I might spoil a little bit too much, but it's best to talk about it. It is revealed that she's one of the daughters of Atlas, which is the antagonist side. And but unfortunately, I will say that this kind of a little bit weakens the whole movie, which I'll get to that when the time comes. There's also, the other members of the family that, well, they're just there. Although they did kind of have a little bit of the acting, and also kind of like the youngest girl, apparently having her fascination with how can I say, with unicorns, and of course Skittles. And by the way, yes, this movie kind of has its own product placement with Skittles. Yeah, once in a while, this movie is gonna show you Skittles so much that the Skittles is itself an actor in the movie. Uh, what was it? Let me revise something like that. That. Oh yeah. We got also the return of Digimon Hanzo, which he plays the wizard, which I don't remember exactly. We thought that he died in the last movie, but he's actually alive and as grumpy as ever from that one. And of course we got the main antagonist, which is of course the three daughters of Atlas, which are played by Helen Mirren, Lucy Liu, and what was the name of the girl? Rachel Zegler. She's the one that falls in love with the Freddy character. They all do their part. I'm not gonna be exactly kind of like too picky out of it. Cinematography is fine. I did like some of the action scenes. Actually, has some interesting action scenes that I say, and it did catch the kind of like the edge of the seat. And of course, one of the things that I really like is that a lot of the scenes it involve a dragon, and you know that I'm a big sucker with dragons, and the threat level, it has of course has some danger into it. Although the biggest plot point that the movie has is that they wanted to get the scepter in order to, how can I say, have the power to remove the power of the gods to the family and all these things. But additionally, they were also looking at seed of life in which they want to grow. They also kind of like invoke this big barrier, a big dome that it isolates all of Philadelphia. It kind of itself turned into the plot point of the Simpsons movie. And also they just want to get this seed in order to make the land of the gods, which also means that destroying the humanity, what's inside the humanity and all these things, and what's inside the barrier. It's kind of a little bit of a complicated plot, but unfortunately, I will say that it kind of makes the stealing of the scepter a little bit pointless. They just kind of it just kind of became kind of like a plot device in order to become kind of like either the problem and the solution of the problem that there is. What else I can say without spoiling so much about the movie? Well, let's say, let me remember, because I just kind of struggle. I wanted to talk to you a little bit of the love story, in which it kind of became a little bit of lazy writing with the love story, because the love story that they wanted to make is that since one of the sisters kind of fall in love, she kind of gets kind of like a heel turn in which she's like, no, I don't think we have to destroy humans and all these things because I learned that they're good humans. But it felt a little bit rushed, I will say. It's not exactly that they're doing a bad job or they did a terrible job. I've seen worse cases, but unfortunately, this is kind of like a luck thing that it needed to. It felt like it needed a little bit more flesh out and development because falling in love with someone doesn't exactly give you kind of like that heel turn to why humanity is worth saving. It's that one deserves a little bit more attention to it, and that's pretty much the complaint that I do have with that one. Oh, and by the way, I do. There is. They almost did, of course, and how can I say? They almost did the kind of like the same thing with our guest Justice League's character in this movie. I'm not gonna reveal who it is just in case, but they almost did the kind of like the same thing that they did in the last movie, in which they got Superman in the last scene of the movie, but we don't see his face. They did that the same with this character. Well, exactly not revealed for the sake of not spoiling it if you're very interested to it. They almost do that, but luckily they show its face almost at the end of the movie. So they didn't push out they didn't push out on that move. So I think that's basically all I have to say about this movie. I think that as a movie standpoint, it was a little bit average, I'll say. Oh, now I remember something that I did wanted to complain. Well, not exactly complain. That not only we get that Justice League cameo, the movie also felt like the scene in which with the pediatrician that I don't know who the hell it wants to keep an Annabelle doll in the how can I say in a pediatrician office. And oh yeah, there was also a little bit of a story arc that I didn't understand, in which how can I say if the movie wanted to showcase that he's a little that Captain Shazam is a little bit of incompetent. He's not exactly kind of like the brightest superhero there is, and it kind of shows because he's still kind of like a kid. He's kind of like a kid. They wanted to make him kind of like an arc by saying that, he just wants to keep everyone together because he's growing up. He's gonna feel left out because, there's kind of like this law that, for example, when once you are an orphan that reaches a certain age, you're gonna get kicked out or something like that. That part of it, they needed also a little bit fleshed out because I didn't exactly understood too much of the arc of that Shazam has, but still, I'm not gonna deny that this movie still has some of the charm and humor that it is. So, some of the humor, I will say that it is humorous in some parts, but some others is like, okay, you're a little bit going a little bit into the awkward humor. That's mostly kind of like its weakness. Especially there comes one moment in which they kind of push it by saying that one of them is kind of reveals itself that, well, I'm gay because why not? Because why not? There are still mythical creatures. There it is, and apparently this movie also gives a dark turn to the unicorns. You'll see if you kind of watch it, but let's say that this is where the Skittles plot point goes through. So much that the movie had the gall to meme how can I say kind of like a very popular meme that the first time I heard it was in a nostalgia critic video. I'm not gonna say it, but I think you probably know what I'm talking about. And we're talking about Skittles, that's the only clue that I'll give it to you. So I think that's all I have to say about it. I'm not gonna lie that I was entertained. I had a lot of fun with this movie, and honestly, this is kind of like a I think this was kind of like a better deal than I had with other DC movies. I'm not gonna say that it was better than the first one because it isn't. And honestly, personally, I find this movie much better than Black Adam and some other the DC Universe movies that I did. But right now, of course, we are going on the road that we're gonna see the DC Universe being handled by James Gunn, and of course, I'm still dreading the time where. Uh, I'm still dreading the time that James. How can I say? Oh yeah, the Flash. I'm still dreading the Flash. I am dreading for this movie and probably the future because they're gonna keep up with using Ezra Miller, considering the things that he has done. But either way, we do need a few more lighthearted superhero movies like Shazam, and so that's all I have to say. So with that said, Shazam.